Stand clear.
100% Wild podcast.
So for all you listeners,
hello and welcome to
definitely not your favorite outdoor podcast.
That's right. Stand clear. It's the Drury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast. This is episode number 265. We're powered by DeerCast. You, sir, are Matt Drury.
You're Tim Chelsvik, and most importantly, you are now an ultra marathon runner.
Check this out. I got a medal.
That's right. And it's not one of those like medals they just give out anymore to
not
kids.
A participation trophy.
You actually, well, you did participate. You finished.
Yes. Yeah. So it was 33.3 miles in the Daniel Boone National Forest down in southeastern Kentucky. I'd never been in that neck of the woods, kind of like Smoky Mountains area.
Yeah.
It's rugged. Very, very rugged.
Yeah, I saw the clip where it was like the waterfall kind of over the rock cliffs.
Yeah, there's these huge grottos that you run through, like behind the waterfall, and then up and in and out of these gorges, and it was really something. Some guy, it was treacherous also. So it was 33 miles of trying not to hurt yourself.
And so mile 3, you started getting some knee. You were going into it with a little bit of knee pain from the training, right?
Yeah.
So how'd you make it through the rest of mile 3 out of what, 33?
Yeah. It was one of those moments of kind of despair, like, oh gosh, this is hurting at mile 3. I've got 30 miles to go. This is going to be really tough. Because also you're trying to manage cramping, trying to manage your nutrition and everything. And Jake from First Form, my brother Andy, came to serve as like a support crew at the different aid stations.
Yeah.
Huge help to have
cool.
them. And just like the emotional support of having someone that you know they're taking care of you. You felt like you're a race car and you're at the pit crew and they're taking care of you.
So as you're going through this, I'm sure there's periods where you're leaning on you're leaning on training, obviously, but are you starting to lean on faith or the things that kind of get you through your daily life? Is that what kind of brings you back and pushes you through?
Yeah, a lot of it is mental. Like I start thinking about my dad that passed away a little bit. I start thinking about my kids and my wife, and like I want to, and Jake and Andy, and a lot of people were rooting for me, and you don't want to disappoint. And obviously they're not going to be so disappointed that you didn't make it, but you want to make them happy. And so that a lot of it is a mental game, because there's a lot of points during that, like, once you get into mile 13, I started cramping and had to work through that. But you just kind of figure out what your motivation is, and you keep pushing.
That's awesome.
I finished just under 9 hours. So 9 hours of running and eating and trying not to fall and bust your butt.
I'm proud of you, man. I know how hard you train. We see it here in the studio, and it's a heck of an accomplishment. When's the next one?
Never. One and done.
Well, you got one more than the rest of the studio.
Yeah. So I'm happy. It's cool to be considered an ultra runner at this point, and I think I'm good.
On the gravesite. Right. 40. What was it? How old?
43, yeah.
43-year-old ultra marathon runner.
Yeah. So I've thought about the Ironman. Like, that could be a cool next step.
Yeah.
But we've actually got a real Ironman on the podcast
Look
today.
at you with the segue. That's almost like we're professional.
Check it out.
That's right. We got JW Hart, the Ironman of PBR bull riding. And when we get into it here, I want to just list off a couple of this guy's stats. We've known him for a long time, but he was a 1994 Rookie of the Year, 2002 PBR World Champion. He's a 10 times PBR World Final qualifier. Competed in 197 straight Premier Series events, which is where he earned the name the Iron Man. Over 200 rides in those, and 2009 PBR Ring of Honor recipient. And currently the coach of the KC Outlaws, which is a new team series, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. What's up, JW Hart?
What's going on, Matt?
So this guy, we've known him for a long time. So Mark and Terry, back in the day, Mossy Oak was a really big supporter of the PBR. And so, when PBR would roll through town, Mark and Terry would go to the events, and they'd get to meet the guys, and they struck up a kindred spirit type of relationship with JW Hart, Justin McBride, a couple of these guys. And we were lucky enough to have JW on Dream Season Celebrity. What year was that? Was that 2009?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Right in there, 9 or 10 maybe, but that's got to be pretty close. 09, yeah.
I don't know how in the world they convinced you to grace us with your presence.
Hey, they just said, hey, you get to go hunting, you get to kill stuff. Let's go do it. I was like, bingo.
I'm
I
in.
want to go. I mean, being part of Mossy Oak always was cool, and getting to hunt, and go to places and things. But then the celebrity deal where we got to do it with you guys, and it was really cool to me because I got to see, well, I guess you call behind the scenes stuff, what you do in the trees and the lead up stuff, on video, getting to the trees and things. And it puts a lot of that in perspective. Now, I can't watch a hunting show of you guys or anybody for that fact and just go, I know how they got there. I know what they did when they got out of the truck. I know this. They talk, and then they shoot the bull, and they do this. And it's pretty cool. It's like getting to go see a movie made, and then what all's happening behind the scenes. Is pretty cool.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of it.
Well,
a little bit.
I will say that it was a very interesting year for me as hunting. Like, I always had the camera on. It wasn't just, hey, go get in a tree and go do something. And something, I think that, I've talked with Mark a couple of times. Like, he don't do anything hunting that is not video. Mm-hmm. I'm like, where's the privacy? Where's the true going out and just spending the time in the woods and letting that be part of it? But he's took such a love to it that he wants to share it with the world. And I'm glad he does, because he's a machine when it comes to getting big deer or whatever he's after, turkey or whatever. So it's cool. But I envy him for getting to go hunting a bunch. But sometimes I'm on TV enough that sometimes I like when the TV goes away, the cameras turn away, go away, and I can out here at the ranch or do the same stuff, but do it uninhibited with cameras and stuff. So
yeah. So you guys, you're there in Oklahoma, and that's where you were born, raised, and still live today. You have a Hart Cattle Company. It's family business that you have there. How's the hunting in that area?
It's pretty good. My son is 13 now, Wasey, and so it was 13 years ago when we did Dream Season. So, but I just sold a place and I bought another place, and the place I sold was just a deer mecca. Like it was big deer, and he shot his first deer on that place, first two deer actually, 125, 30-inch 8-point or 10-point,
cool,
at 9 yards with a crossbow.
Oh, jeez.
So he was really kind of mad that we got rid of that place. But then the new place, it was just learning. You know how it is when you get a new place and you got to figure out where they're coming, where they're going, the bedding areas, and a lot of dogs. So this year was his first season there. And then on day 3, I think I might have sent you guys pictures of him. He shot us a real nice deer here in Oklahoma. So, pushing 135, 140, 10 points. So.
Nice. So you're in that stage of life where it's the fun part of it is starting to share it with others, right? That they call that being a gamekeeper.
I've never picked up. The last 2, maybe 3 years, I ain't even pulled my bow out of the closet. It's been all him. He shoots a crossbow. He shoots a compound bow, and he's never shot a deer with a rifle. He's 13 and never shot a deer with a rifle, and he's itching to do it. So
that's pretty special, though. Learning getting them in close and kind of learning more about the hunting side of it, right?
That's kind of, that's. I grew up a gun hunter, and then when I got with Mossy Oak and you guys, I got a bow, and just the sheer element of having them within bow range is so much different, and it was so much more gamesmanship and more rewarding when it all come together. Come together a lot less, right? And so that's kind of, he just kind of come in my situation if that's the way I want to do it. Now he's wanting to get the rifle out, so this will probably be the year he busts the rifle out and try to get. And it's crazy. I want to get him as close. He wants to see how far he can shoot him. He went 500 yards. I'm like, really?
He got a little Western hunter in him.
Yeah. He wants to go do the long shot.
So what caliber? I know you were probably a guy that grew up shooting a 30-30 or 30-06 or something like that. What are you guys working with there now?
That's exactly what my first deer rifle was a lever action Winchester 30-30.
Nice.
Open side, 100-yard shot was a good shot. But he's shooting two different guns. He's shooting a 223 and a 22-250, and he is pretty nuts on now. I'm telling you, he's there. We went to Florida back last summer, early summer, and some friends down there. We took a swamp buggy out, and he got to shoot a 338 Lapua or something like that.
Fancy.
And hey, he was drilling pigs at 300-400 yards.
Holy buckets!
That's pretty cool, man. So
now I've got to try to find a 338 Lapua with thermal imaging, and I'm like, you think you understand?
It's expensive having kids.
Yeah.
Just one of the many reasons it's expensive, right?
Honey, I need this gun for the
Can we
family.
go like airplane too? I mean, what?
Now, what I love about following you and your wife on social media is how much you involve your kids into your daily, work ethic, what you guys are doing there on the farm, the kind of the lifestyle. And it really is a lifestyle for you guys, right? I mean, it's what you grew up doing. It's what you've known your whole life. And you're just like Mark and Terry and kind of the family business. It's kind of your family business, passing it on and bringing them in, right?
Child labor camp.
Even better.
Whatever works.
Yeah. We don't have the biggest ranch. I mean, we're a little over 500 acres, total. But yeah, they all have their chores, and really every one of them, especially Wasey. I mean, he's 13 now, so he can not do a man's job, but he can take on some of the chores. He can get on a 100-horse tractor and go put out hay in the snow and plow fields or sow wheat or whatever, and flank bulls, snort cattle. My 9-year-old Sapphire, she's my water girl. She's in the barn every day, cleaning waters twice a day. That's her chore. So they all got chores, but they all reap the rewards of it too. When we're successful from the bottom to the top, we celebrate it together and get a piece of it.
I think that lifestyle could be the salvation of our next generation, because it's the labor shortage right now is bizarre. I was at the gym yesterday and I overheard a couple younger guys, they're probably 19, 20, talking about how they didn't want to show, they were going to bail on their shift at whatever restaurant they worked at.
And you're hearing that a lot, ghosting.
Yeah, it was only they were only going to make like $88 going there for their shift. So they were just going to go to the gym and hang out. And you see all these places that are closed because, or open only partially because they can't find people that have a work ethic.
It's crazy to me that it's like that too. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, I was brought up, first off, if you didn't work, you didn't eat. And it really rolled into my bull riding. That look, how my performance that night on my bull, it truly dictated what I ate for supper. If I won, I might go to steakhouse. If I didn't win, it was Cheetos and bean dip to the next one.
I'd like to kind of talk about the journey a little bit, and I want to start with where we're at now, because you guys, they're, Hart Cattle Company, you're raising cattle, but you're also raising like championship caliber bulls, right? For what you guys like the PBR, right?
That's all we do is we don't have a commercial beef cow on the place. It's all buck and stock. The mothers have lineage. Every animal in our place has 5-10 generations behind them of proven performance, and it's no different than the racehorses. I mean, we design them, we engineer them. That look, we've got this female cow that's bred this way back through her generations, and we want to cross her lineage with this bull's lineage that's got 5-10 generations behind him that way. And we put them together and try to make a new lineage here and a new branch to a tree, and and everything is for the betterment of bull riding. So from the nutrition that they get, from the breeding, the IVF in vitro fertilization, to it is for it to come from such a grandpa's bull in the pasture's meaningless riding. that it is today is mind blowing.
I think some of the misnomers are how these animals are treated. You probably treat these animals better than you treat yourself. And however, you've treated your body over the years. I mean, they're treated like kings.
And our kids, I mean, they get fed, taken care of before we eat breakfast. I mean, I got a guy that works for me. My kids are in here, and the first thing when their feet hit the floor, they work chores, get fed, get everything done. Leanne's in here when we circle back through at some point, grab a biscuit and sausage and back out to go take care of them again. And yesterday we had a bull of a partner of ours, brought him in for a layover, gets off the trailer, and for some reason he's got a big cut on his side. We don't know how he got it, but immediately into the chute, taken care of, sewn up. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy the care that's taken of these animals.
Probably my favorite quote of the conversation so far is JW saying, "My kids, they get fed."
What more can you want?
They're good. They get fed. They come inside to sleep. They're fine. Indoor plumbing.
All our kids are homeschooled, so school starts here after chores.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you're looking back at your career and how you started and I know you have a huge respect for that animal and obviously what it means to your lifestyle and livelihood, but do you think about it a little differently now after taking such good care of these animals and raising them and doing what you do? Do you think back to the old days and think, man, I understand it a little more clearly now, or if I would have known these things back then, think of what I could have done with that information?
The part for me that I wish I would have understood back then that I do now is how to take care of myself. The bulls have always been taken care of and always been first priority of a stock contractor. But the bull riders back then, we've all hung out and done crazy things and had fun and just go to the next one. Now they take they are engineered athletes as well. Like they count calories, count everything that goes in their body and what they do and the exercises and things. And we didn't. Hot yoga to us back then meant something way different than it does now.
Well, we had Cooper Davis on the show a few episodes ago, and he's an athlete. He has his fitness dialed in because he recognizes that's just, you got to perform at that level.
Young kid with the whole world in front of him, and he's wanting to make sure he's healthy for the long run. And he's not a broke down old cowboy at some point.
So JW, do you have a count of how many bones you've broken over the years?
No, but I really didn't. I got unscathed. Really. I broke a few ribs here or there, or broke a finger, broke a leg, actually broke my nose, but and I hate to say that it wasn't serious, but like for the 25 years, 20 years that I rode professionally, that's pretty good actually.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So now they all wear the helmets with the face masks and all that. That started after you guys were through, didn't it?
There was always a few guys that wore face masks or a helmet throughout history, basically. But they kind of made it I think if you're born after 95 or 97, now it's mandatory. And me being the renegade I am, I don't like any kind of rule like that. Tell me what kind of rope I want to use or what kind of helmet I have to wear a helmet. Yeah. I'm kind of a free guy, and I still got my helmet on today, but these are on. I think it should be the guy's decision. I mean, if a guy's willing to put his health on the line without a helmet, or a guy wants to take precautions and put it on, that should be his deal. I don't think anybody should give us the right to, or have the right to tell us what we have to do, but that's the way the sport is. And luckily I was past it before they started making such rules. So
as you get into this new kind of the next evolution, I guess, and you're the head coach, the manager of this new team event that they put on, and you're the KC Outlaws. I think it's, first of all, they picked the right guy for the job. so what is this? I mean, what goes into it, and what's your task being the manager of this thing?
This whole thing stems back 16 years ago. There was talk of franchises like, and I remember Houston was one of the names back then, Houston and Dallas and different cities. They was wanting to build football franchises or baseball, basically, and build a league where there would be a team of guys on each team and they could be traded and all this. But it was such a big risk and something kind of foreign to bull riding, because bull riding is and rodeo of anything is such an individual sport.
Sure.
It was such a big risk and gamble that the PBR never could get the fortitude to bite it off, or whether they had the money to gamble it or whatever. But the one good thing through COVID is when the world shut down, the PBR kept going, and they took the time. We had an arena there at South Point Hotel and Casino in Vegas. They let us have, and it was curtained off. There was no fans, and we had to go through testing and quarantines, and it was unbelievable for a whole month that we was there. But what the research that they found going through the team format, and it was just kind of a thrown together team. They drew names and made teams and put them in jerseys and just had a little makeshift team deal. But the numbers that come out of it and between the sponsors and the TV ratings, it was just a no-brainer. Like it fell together like they'd always dreamed it could. But the research was like, the evidence was there now. The TV, CBS, they loved it. And the ratings were great. A little bit of it was because there was no other sports on TV at the time.
Sure.
Take facts for facts. But the ratings and the response we got from everybody, it really set these wheels in motion. And then here we are, a full circle now, that there's 8 teams across the United States, from Arizona to North Carolina, and they were a week yesterday from the first ever draft. We'll draft our teams. Mm-hmm. We'll get a 5-man roster, a 2-man alternate, and like a 3 to 5. We start out with a 5-man practice roster, and we got to cut it to 3 by mid-July. It's crazy. Like, I watch enough baseball that I got a sense of what's happening. Yeah. But I'm still far enough removed from any other sport and in such an individual deal that I've had to really, being a head coach now, is try to figure out who I'm trading, who I'm drafting, call this coach and this team work. And if you know me, I hate being on the telephone, down at the table and sitting here X's and O's. But it's so new to me and so cool. And I've always been a fan of baseball and the draft and how they trade and why they let Yu Darvish go or this guy or that guy. Yeah. And then when it was on stream season, Celebrity was with Adam Wainwright, getting a visit with him and how cool he was, how big of a guy he was, how cool he was, how down to earth he was, and talking with him about stuff. Now I wish I could go back and revisit our conversation because I'd have questions. It's gonna be cool. I'm excited about it. And Kansas City has just opened their arms to us, and you guys know, y'all are from right around and close enough that we may get to see each other a little bit now again.
That's right. I'm looking forward to it. So I saw that there's another team in Missouri, our good friend Johnny Morris at Bass Pro. Him and Luke Snyder down there, they're starting their own team. So is there any kind of rivalry that will form throughout this type of deal?
Yeah, they suck.
The answer is yes.
Ross Coleman's the head coach. They're in trouble.
I love it. What other towns or regions have teams?
Well, there's Carolina, and Jerome Davis will be the coach there. Ridgemont, or is it Johnny Morrison's team is Luke and Ross be head coaches. I'm in Kansas City. Justin's head coach in Nashville. Michael Gaffney's head coach in Austin. Cody Lambert's coach in Fort Worth. And Paulo Krimber is the head coach of Arizona.
How cool. I mean, I feel like we're at the beginning stages, like just like high school and college bass teams were like, and now that's a legit sport. And now this is, just kind of another iteration of bull riding.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing because, like you said, it throughout COVID, it was amazing how many people came back to something like bull riding and something like hunting. It's amazing. Our
real
numbers.
Stuff.
Yeah. Real stuff. It's like, all right, world shuts down. Guess what? There's still some real things out there that you can do. Yeah. And it's pretty amazing to see you guys be able to, take that and run with it. And I'm sure the TV side of it, I'm sure they're clamoring to get rolling. Is it end of July that you guys start the tour?
Yeah, there's going to be 10 or 12 stops. We'll have one stop or 10 stops. I'm sorry. There's going to be one stop in all the team cities.
Yep.
And then there's going to be 2 neutral sites. And the neutral sites, the first one is a neutral in Cheyenne, and then I'm not sure, like third or fourth or fifth one is in Anaheim, California.
Nice.
But the rest of them will be all one in Kansas City, one in Nashville, Fort Worth, Austin. I think Charlotte or Greensboro. I'm not sure where their home city is.
So as you guys, you get to travel around. You were for a long, long time, obviously a part of the announcing team there in the PBR and the TV side. And so as you travel around, and now of course you're taking the cattle everywhere with you and the bulls. And are you amazed when you go into somewhere like New York City and you guys are playing the Garden or wherever it is, and to see kind of the hustle and bustle and bring
here come the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I always think of that and that dynamic and how interesting it is.
Hey, it's cool. New York, not so much the last couple of years. I mean, things have changed so much in our world right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But even now, we get a few protesters in New York, but that's good. That's great. If you don't like something, as long as you're peaceful about it, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But the response believe it or not, the response that rodeo and bull riding get in New York is crazy. It's one of our biggest sellouts. And you wouldn't normally think that, but they don't see this every day. Mm-mm. Like you do a bull ride in Oklahoma City, you've got to promote the hell out of it.
Sure.
Because I've seen a bull ride. Yeah. I see them all the time. I don't really need to run to Oklahoma City this weekend to watch it. I seen one yesterday and that day. New York, they don't see it every day, so they just flock to it and they love it, and they're fans. And I was actually sitting in a hotel lobby bar one night in New York City, like a week before we was up there doing some PR stuff, and a lady just out of the blue just walks up and talking to me and my wife. She's like, "Reindeer dipping is my favorite bull." I'm like, she didn't know who I was. She had no clue. I was just wearing a cowboy hat. She just associated that cowboy hat over there with a bull that she watches on TV. And she all about reindeer dipping, and she just come up, had no clue if I was JW Hart or Joe Blow. And it's like, "You're a cowboy. You know who reindeer dipping is?"
It just so happens I do. JW, you mentioned TV. Did you say TBS is who's carrying the bull rides?
CBS Sports and actually CBS, the network. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Big time.
These guys are big time. Not long ago, I believe, like Cooper Davis and I forget the guys. What's the guy that PBR was his baby and his company? They were at the New York Stock Exchange.
Whoa.
It's like, I mean, that's pretty cool. It's one of those things, like JW said, it's mainstream. And it's just a network of good old boys, that are running this thing. That's the best part about it.
I mean, I still remember watching bull riding on TNN back in the day. That was, I don't know, like Sunday afternoon or whatever.
JW was probably the one riding.
Yeah, very likely. Yeah, God, that was gold.
Where's that? That's where it all stemmed and started.
So as you look back and go ahead.
The whole PBR started with 20 guys.
Jeez.
20 guys, 20 bull, the premier 20 guys in the world said, you know what? Rodeo's great, but bull riding is the best part, and we can make it a standalone. Let's try to make it a standalone sport where that's all that the family comes to see one night is the bull riding. And they all put $1,000 a piece in 1992 in a hat, and hired Randy Bernard to be, kind of lead it and try to move us on. And they told him, he's like, what's the job pay? He's like $50,000. First thing you got to do is make the company make 50 so you can get paid.
That's motivation.
Make as much as you want.
And it's crazy that it is what it is today. And I know it took a lot of hard work from them guys, but just the sheer luck and just the good Lord wanting something that, and it couldn't happen no other way.
Yeah. It's fun to be able to look back and see the genesis of something kind of percolating, and like, this is just so, there's no way this should have happened.
And if you've not been to one of these events, you should go, because it's a spectacle. It is a spectacle. I mean, it is awesome. The show that they put on, the introduction that they put on to all the bull riders and stuff. I mean, it's world class. It is interesting,
and it's almost countercultural now because it's so patriotic. Like, it's so pro America. It's the heartland. It's just so refreshing to see that.
Yeah.
Those traditional values still exist, and they're profitable. Like, people still want that.
It's because of that, meaning like that there are so many people that are the unheard or the voice that's
the silent majority.
Yeah, that's right. And it's nice to be able to see somebody that flies your flag and is proud of it.
Exactly.
So, JW, when you look back at things, go ahead.
That's the thing. It's so family oriented. Like, nothing that's going to happen there, you're going to have to cover your kids' eyes.
Yeah.
All family and good for 0 up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've been lucky. JW's taken us kind of, behind the scenes at the events, and it is so neat to see, it is a spectacle behind the scenes as well, just to see what it takes to go into these arenas, put the show on. I mean, think about that.
Like a circus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And how many days does it take to actually set up?
Hey, this crew that the PBR, at the World Finals, we've had 3 nights. They take this arena completely out, every inch of dirt gone.
Jeez.
There's a concert or 2 there in that arena. I want to say tomorrow, and then when that concert's out at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, whatever, you got to give them time to get their stuff out. And then by the time they get out to 8 o'clock the next night, they'll have 100 truckloads of dirt in.
Jeez. And
the arena set up, all the lights, sound, everything ready to go in less than, I would guess, less than 12, 14 hours.
Unbelievable.
It is.
So I was just going to, it's not considered best practice to ask a celebrity about another celebrity, but I'm such a country music junkie. I have to ask if you ever ran into Chris Ledoux back in the day, and if you have any stories there.
I never met him personally. Mm-hmm. I was at a rodeo in Beaumont, Texas, and was entered in the bull riding, and he was doing the singing afterwards. And I stuck around long enough to watch his little concert there in the arena before I had to go. I don't even remember where I was going, but I stayed and watched it, and I'm glad I did now, because I knew who he was, but you never know how things turn out, and I'm glad I stayed, and it was cool. He had the bucking machine in his show and rode it.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Jack, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
This is we're down memory lane. That I know that you had a chance long time ago. What was it, in the 80s to was it train with Lane Frost, kind of in his heyday?
Well, it all started in 85. I watched him. The National Finals Rodeo, the 10th round of it, the final day would always come on TV. Mm-hmm. And so every year from early 80s, when I was old enough to watch it, we'd watch the 10th round of the NFR. And that year in '85, Lane was the first one to make the whistle that night. And I was just so drawn. I don't know what it was, but I was just a kid. I was 10, 11 years old, and I was just so drawn to him that. And then come to find out, a friend of mine that I junior rodeoed with lived just down the road from him, and they rode bulls at the same practice pen and things. And I was like, man, I want to meet that guy. Well, his mom called my mom and said, hey, Lane's coming up here, this weekend or week, going to get on some practice bulls. JW want to come up and meet him. And why, sure. So I got up there and got to get on some bulls around him and visit with him, take pictures and stuff. And then just a kid that was in love with a hero and I don't know if you would call it a mentor, but he was just a hero to me. Mm-hmm. And really got to know him over the next 4 years before his death. And so, yeah, I have that. And he actually, I got a pair of his shafts that's in my closet. Awesome. And memorabilia that from when he was alive that he gave me and things he's done. And just luckily I didn't, lose it or get rid of it, or as a kid really lose it, I guess. But, and I got it, and it's so cool to look back and know that such an iconic figure of our sport, of the world, that I had a connection with, and it's one of my very best memories, I guess, of our world.
I wonder, and I don't remember what year that movie came out exactly, but I know that the rise of the PBR and really a lot of what you guys were doing around that time, I would think like when, say, any movie comes out, Brave, or some of the movies about archery and hunting or archery or things like that, they get an uptick in popularity and interest from youth. You would have to think that with that movie, it really helped kind of the PBR in that time period and probably a really critical time period.
And not just then. It's crazy. A man that's been gone 30 years is so impactful this far removed. And you're right. The movie, and every time a rodeo movie or a Western comes out, we get a tick better, a tick something. But for the long haul, the name Lane Frost and his mother, I'm really close to his mom and dad, Clyde and Elsie. In fact, one of our girls is named after Elsie, his mother, and they're amazed. They're blown away. They can't imagine that Lane had that big of impact in a short period of time. He made his first NFR in 1984, and he died in '89. Who has that kind of impact on anything in that shorter? That 30 years later, there's kids still that he's their hero, and their parents wasn't even around when he was around. Yeah.
I know. Just a couple of weeks ago, I don't even know what prompted me to do it, but I randomly looked up his name or brand on Instagram and I was like, oh, this is cool. They had, all kinds of stuff about him. And nice. I just went down that rabbit hole and, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. Like you said, it's almost a shooting star kind of mentality and bright, super bright when it was shining and still shines today.
He was a shooting star that hit our, like it hit and it made an impact around not even so much the Western world. I mean, there's people that have come to the Western world because of that movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wasn't even a box office hit or something, it was just and now it's just a random movie, that you pick up on Netflix or something.
Yeah. It's become kind of a cult classic.
Yeah. And the cool thing to me is Elsie. She'll explain it that and I know that in that movie it showed that Clyde was really hard on Lane, and there's nothing further from the truth. And that he never told him he loved him, and he never did this, and he never did that, and was always hard on him. there was nothing further from the truth. And that really hurt Elsie because she knew that it was different. But she said since that movie's come out, she's had so many people, fathers, come to her and say, because of that movie, it changed how I talk to my son.
Some good came out of it.
So she's happy with it, that it's bringing, fathers and sons closer together.
That's great.
Wow. So cool.
So JW, what's next on the docket for you? I know obviously the team events have to be, a huge part. You said how much you're pouring over kind of the stats and trying to, the X's and O's, so to speak. But is that the big next thing for you that's taken up kind of the next period of life, or is it still the main, I'm sure the main focus is there at Hart Cattle Company and making sure you guys are breeding, future championship bulls, right?
Well, it'll always be our cattle company because that's really the one job I can't get fired from. You can fire me from CBS talking on television. They can fire me from being head coach at Kansas City, but our cattle company is what we do. That's who we are. That's our thread. But yes, that's the next step in whatever I don't even know the word, but the next step in our evolution of bull riding and I guess a way to make a living too. I guess that's what we all do is try to make a living. And Kansas City was lucky enough to find me.
Humble as he is.
I'm very fortunate. And the guys, Lenny Forey and the guys that own the team are just like we are. They just made their living and made their fortune however they could. And they had bad boy mowers. They got outlaw snack chips now, and the things that they've done to be able to afford to venture off into bull riding teams is they're such a good fit for me and my family. They're country people that love their family and love what they do in the sport. So it's going to be fun. There's not another team. We're not the biggest. We're not the New York Yankees. We might be more like the Oakland A's or whatever, but I don't want to be anywhere else. This the team that we made a bond and a connection with, and that means more to me than money or any other thing. So we're going to be in it to win it.
Well, it's nice that you have this continued influence. It's a very proactive influence on the next generation of what bull riding looks like, and that just goes to your legacy. Like that's really strong.
Well, I don't know.
He doesn't know you like I do.
That's the full story.
It scares me that you and Justin both have teams.
Yeah, I think our wives probably think the same thing.
Yeah.
Who's the adult responsible?
One of the funnest nights of my life was a random night meeting JW and Justin McBride in Nashville.
Don't tell Leanne or Jill, though. We can't let them know that we've got teams yet.
You better keep it a secret as long as you can. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been too long since we've seen you, and I wanted to show you. I dug this out of our.
I got mine hanging in the closet still. Yeah,
right next to the Lane Frost chaps.
It is actually.
That's right there. Yep, we got.
Move back a little bit.
Pull back.
Other way.
Let's see.
That way.
Which camera am I on here? This one right here. Sorry.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yep. That's JW riding a bull, and it was Team Hart. It was a fun, interesting year. We had some stories there with more, you and Adam were the two guys that were common sense guys, him and Wayno. And it's hard to say that about JW, but they were the common sense guys. When you had Aaron Lewis and Tim Sylvia constantly bickering through the whole season at each other, it was those group hunts were pretty fun.
I wonder how much scent control Aaron Lewis hadn't used it.
Well, you smelled him when he got off the bus. There wasn't much sinking, unless his cover scent was that smell. Yeah. He had a cover scent. Everywhere he went, he had a cover scent. That's right.
He did have a cover scent.
Whitetail has a contact high.
That's right. Everybody did in camp. It was an interesting dynamic of people, but that was one of the funnest seasons we ever had, man.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and I've told people, I said, I don't know if I'd ever have time to do it again, but
yeah,
I would love to do it again, because there's no way Tim Sylvia and them guys beat us. There's no way.
Yeah, see, Tim was teamed up with Jeff and David Lindsay, and that was hard for anybody to beat Jeff and David Lindsay at killing big deer.
And I don't know who the judges was, but they got that all wrong.
We want to recount.
That's right. That's right. Well, JW, is there anything that you'd like to plug or promote? I know on you guys are on Facebook at the Hart Cattle Company. You got a Twitter account at the JW Hart. I think you have a TikTok account as well, which I find very interesting.
Who believes that?
That must be your wife or your kids telling you to do that. Somebody else is telling you to do that.
Well, here's what happened. Is that they was watching TikToks one night, and it was all the funny stuff.
Yeah.
Thing was just, so I was like, hey, I like to watch that kind of stuff, wrecks and crashing, burns. And so they made me an account, and then me and Wasey get to making little videos of us leaving home or doing something goofy. And got pretty fun, really. I'm not a big tech guru or nothing, but he kind of holds my hand through it. And we make some funny stuff every now and then. So.
That's fun.
Nice.
So does Wasey go on a lot of the trips, or can he go on a lot of the trips with you?
Yeah, he goes, I would say close to 90% of the times I go somewhere. During that COVID deal, we went to Florida for 2 weeks, and it was just me and him. And we wasn't at Bull House, and there's a big lake out in front. And I probably should say this because the game wardens will be at my door tomorrow, but I'm back there doing something. I said, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go down at this lake down and see if there's any alligators. Any minute, he done got one on a fish hook. And like, good Lord. Florida, we ain't been in there, Okeechobee, Florida, an hour. We done caught us an alligator.
Whoa.
The alligator loose. But
that's awesome, man. The memories that I'm sure that he's, that he will have in life from these trips and these times with you, that stuff. Because I remember that going the few times that a year that I go with Dad hunting to Illinois or somewhere. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that I remember the most, and it's just one-on-one time that you can't beat, man.
Yeah, and it ain't just him. We alternate. All the kids alternate. 1 to 2 or 3 of them go with me all the time. We got 6 of them, so 1 to 2, 3. I try not to take all of them if I don't have to, because it gets pretty hectic.
Yeah, it's a carnival.
There has been times I took all 6, and Leanne takes all 6.
Ooh.
But we go 2 and 4, or 3 and 3, or something like that.
Yeah.
Divide and conquer. That's the way to do it.
Well, man, it's been great having you on, and if there's anything you ever need from us, I look forward to seeing what kind of trouble you can stir up in Kansas City, and we'll be sure.
And we get our team drafted here next week, or this next week, and I think we're going to try to do a deal there in what is it? Their light
Power and Light District, the PBR bar. Yep.
Try to do something there, celebrate the team. Something I'll holler at, so you guys can come down.
Absolutely, man. I love it. I appreciate it. Tell everybody we said hi. I appreciate you jumping on, buddy.
I will do it. Like always, tell everybody I said hello except Terry.
I will. I'll pass the message on.
Don't know where it come from.
No doubt. All right. Thanks, man.
Right.
See you, JW.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Wow. That's a character.
JW is the best. Like I said, we were fortunate to meet him a long time ago, kind of in the heyday of when Moss Yoke was partnered with the PBR, mm-hmm. and met a lot of people through JW, and they're just they're all cowboys. I mean, they're true cowboys, and they're the most down to earth people. But you'll never have more fun in your life than you will going out with these guys.
It's one of the coolest things about hunting is just how it cuts across so many different levels of people. Like when I was at one of the aid stations or one of the creek crossings on my race this past weekend, there were a couple guys that were watching the river crossing, and they were actually Deer Outdoors fans. One of the guys had DeerCast on his phone.
No way.
Yeah, so it was cool to get to talk to them and give me a chance to catch my breath. But like you just never know who's going to be a hunter. Usually they're wearing camo.
Yeah.
But it's cool that it cuts across so many different levels of humanity.
At my son's field day yesterday, and a guy came up and just said how much he loved the shows and all that stuff.
Cool.
It's random, but that the crossover. I know this is kind of a different episode for our podcast and what we typically do, but the crossover of people that like watching, it'd be like watching NASCAR or watch. There's a few things that there's so much crossover, and PBR and bull riding and rodeo, and that's a major one.
Big time.
Yeah, and it was fun that year with Dream Season Celebrity. I mean, so many funny stories. So
I mean, it was a fun season to watch, but I can't imagine what wasn't allowed to make the cut.
Well, nobody had really an issue with letting it hit the air until it aired. I got a call from Aaron Lewis one night, and it was, I'll never forget it because it was like a 2-hour call.
Oh, geez.
And he was just beside himself with how he was being perceived and all this stuff. And
because of the thing with him and Sylvia?
No, it was because the way that these shows, especially Dream Season back in the day, encounters and the things that were interesting made the cut at the final edit, obviously.
Yeah.
And he had a tough season that year, and we weren't properly, I guess, showcasing the tough season. And I'll never forget it because at one point he says to me, we're friends with Aaron to this day, great dude, and obviously a major patriot. And he comes and he calls me, and he's kind of giving me he's in the studio, and he's probably had some things affecting his train of thought. And finally in the conversation he says to me, he's like, man, I'm not trying to be a rock star, but I'm a rock star.
He's not wrong.
He's basically trying to say, hey, I can complain because I'm a big deal. I'm kind of a big deal. And so I'll never forget
Maybe you don't know this, but
it was a lot of work putting that together, and it was a lot of work getting schedules lined up.
Big personalities are tough, yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, like Tim Sylvia, still great friends with him. Obviously, Wayno and I still hunt. He's on 13 this season. He was over at Illinois hunting with Jim Tomey, killed a nice deer. Like the friendships that we made out of that are still kicking. So it was a fun season.
That's cool.
I was glad it was over though. When it ended.
I can't imagine just the circus that whole thing must have been.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we've got the real wild clip of the week that we need to get into. This one's kind of a physiologically weird one.
Now I'm interested because I don't know what this one is. So, all right,
It comes to us from Michael Engelmeyer.
Oh, Ingy. I just talked to him on the phone today on my way to work, actually.
Yeah. Small world.
And I didn't know this was being used.
Wow.
All right, let's go. Let's see it.
Okay.
The real wild clip of the week.
All right. We're looking at an antler shed here.
Oh, it's a shed.
Okay. G2.
G2. And now we see a clip here of this buck scraping.
It's the same deer that the shed belongs to.
Okay.
He's over a scrape.
So what makes this a wild clip?
So stay tuned because, here we're seeing the base, now the pedicle, and holy buckets.
It's a dead deer.
It's a dead head. And if you see where the other pedicle came off.
Looks like it's ripped out of his skull.
Exactly. There's a hole there.
So I guess this deer was alive, young, probably a 3.5-year-old buck that Mike had on his farm. And then it shows up. He finds it during the shed season, and it's totally missing one whole side. It's got a hole, and he's got no idea what happened to him. What kind of force would be able to rip that out like that?
I don't know. I think he said that this deer was very active in terms of like rubbing and just sparring. Like it was a fighter, and so it's very likely that he got into a fight that he just bit off more than he could chew. It looks like it must have been a violent ripping action to rip part of its skull out of the rest of the cranium and leave a hole. And you got to imagine then that like
him.
a direct line to your brain is going to allow for infection. And bad news for that too.
Like, come over here. Let me pull your ear. See how it feels.
Yeah. And I need to get a lot of like the root of your ear out of there.
The whole thing.
That's not good.
Yeah. Crazy.
Ugh, too bad. That deer had a lot of potential too.
Yeah. That sucks.
That's wild.
That is wild.
That's a wild clip.
That's like a Saturday Night Live guy.
It's like Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to that buck.
That's a pretty good impression.
Everything goes up at the wrong time and down at the wrong time with Walken.
I like it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
He's a weird dude,
but
funny. 78 years old.
I think his best role was Pulp Fiction, right? He was the dad.
Yeah.
The story he was telling was a Vietnam or
that Fat Boy Slim video that he was in, where he's just dancing and then flying around that atrium.
Yeah, crazy guy.
Good stuff.
Next up, he'll be in the Wild Clip of the Week.
That would be great.
Christopher Walken.
They're hunting
If you're a fan, Christopher, if you're a hunter, let us know. We could get you on the Wild Clip of the Week.
Yeah, you could be on our show.
That's right.
Whoa.
Hey, speaking of whoa. Our next guest, before I know we got some business to move on to here. Our next guest, we've hitting the jackpot here lately. I'm not saying I'm calling in favors, but I've been calling in some favors.
And it's paying off.
It's paying off.
Big time.
We're going to have Craig Morgan on next.
Dude.
Yeah.
Guess what's staying at home?
Your guitar, hopefully.
Yep.
Alan's shaking his head. Yes.
The peanut gallery.
Yeah, but the beautiful part about doing everything we do on video, it's going to live forever. Who knows? Maybe we pull it up. And then I just
hey, Craig, what do you think of this?
Zoom in to Dustin Lynch's face and he's like, oh my God, this is happening.
Friggin' Dustin Lynch leaving me hanging.
He didn't say a word as you're like, yes, sing it with me.
Sing along, everybody. No.
Let's just see how you sound.
So Craig Morgan, how long ago was it that he had his own hunting show?
Well, he is on All Access, or no, it's All Over the Road. It was, I think his show was All Access, I think. But the show that Aaron Lewis used to be on with like Rock Borderland and, the guys over there, that it's called All Over the Road, I believe. Okay. I'm going to have to look into that again. But anyways, he's good friends with these guys. So Craig a lot of times appears on that show. But Mark had him in for a hunt a long time ago when he was filming his own show and had him in. And that hunt appeared on our stuff and it appeared on Craig's stuff. But Craig, running into him at like the trade shows or when he comes through town and we'll go see him at the show, there isn't a nicer guy in the industry. And it's not I think about a guy like Adam Wainwright or JW, like there's most of these guys that you run into that are our real celebrities, they are the most the hunters I'm talking about. Sure. They're the most down to earth guys. And I think Craig is probably up there at the top of the list of all of them.
Makes me happy because I've liked his music. I liked what he's done in general. Yeah. He's such a great patriot. And so it makes me happy to hear that.
He was in the service. I think it was the National Guard, I believe. Or I'll have to look into that.
I thought it was Army, but I could be wrong.
You might be right. Yeah.
And I know he does a lot for the troops, and even like when they're deployed, he goes overseas quite a bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's on a reality show right now. Oh. And so, that's kind of what we're going to dive into that.
Guy never slows down.
Dude, he doesn't. He's constantly going. So
definitely tune into episode number 266.
Yeah. Look forward to chatting with him. So.
267 is just going to be a full Christopher Walken.
No, I'm working on another big guest for 267. Yeah. I would have.
Maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, and it's not Wayno. I would have had Wayno on. I had like a dummy. He had just gone through he was on the IR for Major League Baseball because he got COVID, and they make you
stands for injured reserve.
Yeah, they make you have 2 negative tests before you go back in. Well, so like Friday last week, I was like, oh, hey, I texted him. I was like, hey, you should come into the studio. I go, I'm not scared. I was like, you should come
bring your COVID with you. It doesn't matter.
We're good here. And
Wainwright COVID.
He's like, oh, actually, he goes, I just got cleared. I'm going to be playing on Sunday. And then so this was just a couple days ago. Him and Yachty, they broke the all-time Major League Baseball record for a battery, a pitcher catcher for amount of games started. Awesome. And I mean, was
that the game that Pujols
Pitched. Yeah, the Cardinals just creamed the other team. Yeah, so Pujols pitched. They set a record. Like it was pretty cool. So, anyways, he's like, "Don't worry, well, I'll get in there at some point." But man, during the season, it's tough. I missed my small window there.
Yeah.
So we'll get him on, but that's not who it is. It's a different guest. He's a Hall of Fame caliber outdoorsman.
Whoa.
Boom.
Huh. Okay. So.
He was texting me this morning. He's killing birds with Fred Zink and Chris Paradise from Mossy Oak and GSM.
The mystery thickens.
Yeah. Think on it, Tim.
Okay, I will.
Put that noggin to work.
Let's help our buddy Shawn out with the question of the day.
Let's do it.
Let's.
All right. So the question of the day is proudly brought to you by Victory Archery, the carbon arrow experts. I need to start shooting my bow. I think I'm going to draw Iowa this year.
Boy.
And I'm scared. That I am scared about.
It's the land of the giants.
Well, the biggest reason I'm scared is because it'll be the first time I'm hunting at marks, like really hunting at marks.
No pressure.
I told Scott, I was like, I'm usually not too worried about things like this, but we screw up this.
You'll hear about it.
It will never let it down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and there will be footage of it.
Yeah. So
you'll be fine.
I'm gonna start shooting early this year.
Good idea. Never a bad idea. So this one comes from our buddy Shawn.
Okay, Shawn. So what is the question? Do I get audio on this one?
There's no audio.
Okay.
He's just asking, how far can a buck go if it's hit on one lung only?
Well, this is like the worst. You always think of like a liver hit or maybe in the guts or something as like one of the worst hits. Mm-hmm. And those suck because, that obviously the animals, you got to give them a lot of time.
Yeah.
To die basically. But with a one lung hit, I don't know if there's a trickier track job because you can get a lot of good blood it's really red, really red blood.
Which is encouraging.
Yeah,
and you're like charging ahead. This deer's dead.
Bleeding like crazy. And those are the ones that a good chance you may not find because then they once they clawed up, and they'll keep going and they'll go forever. Mm-hmm. And, I know Mark and Terry both talk about this. A single lung hit is a really tricky one, and they can go and go and go and go.
100%. And if you use DeerCast track in DeerCast, you will see similar results. Like it will tell you that you need to give this deer time because even though you may see encouraging sign along the blood trail, you really got to give it a minute.
So I think the trickiest part about that, if you're not filming, which most people, probably aren't, although with, tact cams and those type of point of view cameras, a lot of more people do film their own hunts now. But in general, if you don't have footage of exactly where you hit him and you think, it seemed like a double lung or, it's may be the difference of the shot angle, right?
Yeah.
That gives you the single lung, say he was quartering to you, and you just clip one lung and you're thinking, I got a lot of blood here. I think I hit him double lung, and you go after him. That can be a costly mistake. I know I can think back of and I haven't killed a ton of deer, nothing obviously like Mark or Terry, but just you think about all your own experiences. And we had shot a doe one night, and I was at my Ellsbury lease, and I thought, man, this is really good. This is a decent hit, great blood, and we keep going, and we tracked for miles. And finally the deer, going all over the property and finally went off onto the neighbor, and I couldn't get permission to track onto the neighbor, unfortunately. But I thought, man, I would have thought this deer, it was a doe, it was a smaller doe. I thought there's no way she could handle this. Mm-hmm. And it was just that the angle wasn't exactly right.
Yeah. So. And it could even be the steepness of the angle.
Yeah.
So, maybe you just kind of go down and through the one side of the lung, and that's all you get. And you get good blood. You got a drain hole, but still they can breathe.
The old drain hole.
I love it.
So we didn't give this guy any answer other than they can go for a long way. Go into DeerCast track. You got guys like Tracker John, Bobby Culbertson, Mark Terry, guys that have tracked thousands of deer. And that's probably 2,500 a piece for Bobby and Tracker John.
Yeah.
And Mark and Terry certainly up in the thousands. So the advice that they give and I know we're selling it here, and this is a hard
just
sell.
One long commercial. That's all this podcast is.
They are pros and they give great advice, and there's some really, good tips in there on what exactly these deer are going to do. So I by all means, I'd go in and check it out.
Agreed. Wildlife word fired up.
Let's do it.
It's brought to you by Sportsman Channel, your home for Winchester and Drury's natural born and everything red, wild, and blue. Okay, this tiny nemesis of deer and livestock used to annually eradicate deer herds to the tune of 40 and 80% annually before they were largely wiped out with the help of gamma rays.
Gamma rays? Oh,
we're talking like superhero stuff.
Ghostbuster stuff.
Mm-hmm. Don't cross the streams, Matt.
Okay, that's what she said.
Is it? Wait, did she?
I don't know.
She could have.
I think it always works.
Is it A, the dingus fly?
Old dingus fly.
Is it B, the chutney worm?
Chutney worm.
It's helpful for the audience when you repeat the possible answers.
Chutney worm.
C, the screw worm.
Oh, he's a jerk. The old screw worm.
Or D, the nasal hair larva.
One of my favorites.
The NHL. Dingus fly, chutney worm, screw worm, nasal hair larva. None of these are like if your doctor came to you and told you, hey, the reason you've been sick lately, the reason you've had constant diarrhea.
Screw worm really did a number on you.
Yep. You've got a dingus fly infestation.
Got to drink the wrong water. I don't really know the answer, Tim. And the fact that they were wiped out with...
Sorry, did I say that out loud? I trying to just think things.
The fact that they were wiped out with gamma rays, I mean, I don't know. I was going to say like the dingus fly, but maybe it's the nasal hair larvae.
Just kind of doing a shotgun approach here.
Like anything I've done in my, this is like college all over again. Great. Having cold sweats. Looking at the girls around me in school like, hey.
They're done with their tests. Why aren't I?
No, I was going to say, hey, do you got the answer?
Oh, yeah, cheating.
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
No.
No, it's called collaborative work.
Yeah. I was a great collaborator.
Nice. So the actual answer is C, screw worms.
Screw this worm.
These things, if you go online and you start searching for screw worms, you see some really messed up images of deer that are like being eaten alive by their maggots.
Gross. I'm going to not go look that up. Yeah, thanks for the heads up.
And what...
Any of you sick guys out there that really got a perversion for weirdness. Maybe that's what took out that real wild deer.
The screwworm infestation localized on his antler pedicle.
Yeah, that's right.
Could be.
You never know.
So the gamma rays come into play. What they did to... Because these things would also affect cattle. Like they'd go through and they'd wipe out a cattle herd. And so it was an expensive parasite. What they did was I
should have kept JW on for this.
I was kind of thinking of him when I came up with
My
this.
bad.
But they would sterilize male screw flies. So when they would mate with female screw flies, the eggs would be sterile. So you'd have this dead generation. Like the eggs wouldn't do anything. So that's how they use gamma rays to... They're still around, but just not in the numbers that they used to be.
Learn something new every day. The wildlife word brought the heat this week.
Yeah.
All right.
So watch out for screwworms, everybody. And the dingus fly.
That's what she said.
All right, we got a shout out. I promise, I did not write this.
Mom are hillbillies.
I don't know.
I promise I did not write this shout out.
I haven't heard this. What is it?
Yeah, you have.
Okay. I don't endorse it though.
Plausible deniability here. Boone 170 says, way better than Working Class. This is the podcast you want to listen to if you're a fan of Drury Outdoors. No flat-brimmed hats, neck tattoos, and big boy swear words. When did hunting turn into the hipsters outdoors? Team Matt and Tim for life.
I don't endorse it. I love Lil Curtis and the boys over there at Working Class, but it is nice to have one win because we get a lot of crap internally about how we're not working
we have
class.
A podcast? Huh.
Yeah. You wouldn't know it by some within these walls, but we do have a podcast.
So I think it's great that there is a bunch of different kinds of people and personalities and styles in the hunting industry. That's important. I cannot freaking wear a flat brimmed hat.
Just because you look stupid.
I can't do it.
I can't either.
I have a flat brimmed hat. I tried to put a bend in it. For some reason, the engineers at Flat Brimmed Hat Company make it so that the hat falls apart and has a weird poof on the sides. It is impossible.
I can't wear them either. I just don't. Well, I mean, first of all, you're 43, I'm 41. That's the biggest reason. And that's one of the main things that I like. Look, my nephews, they look cool in flat brim hats.
Yes.
All right. But like when you see 40-year-olds wearing 50-year-olds wearing flat brims, and there's a lot of those in our industry because it must be that and a freaking vest jacket, poofy vest jacket.
Ironic flannel.
Yeah. So listen, don't do it. If it's not stick to your style, man.
Act your age.
Act your age. Now, what I do find funny about that, we're going to break this down a little bit. What I find funny about it, like those guys over at Working Class, I don't think they're really necessarily a bunch of flat brim hat guys. Yes, on the neck tattoos and the big boy swear words. Like I think they would own that, and really that's kind of like their calling card.
Yep.
But when he says, when did hunting turn into hipster outdoors? I don't think hipster and working class are the same thing. I'm neither of these things, but I don't think they connect those dots.
If they were hipster outdoors, they would be drinking fancy micro brews,
correct,
IPAs, not Busch Lights.
Dark rim glasses.
Yes.
And those guys live out west. Those are called Westies.
There are very distinct groups within the hunting world.
There are.
And you have to be able to know how to navigate all of them.
Yes.
We need all of them.
I'm going to text Lil Curtis and tell him he was called out as a hipster. I think he would get a kick out of that. The rest of it is pretty dead on, though.
Yeah.
And they would own it. Those guys, we love them. Lil Curtis is the best. But I think they'd own the big boy swear words and neck tattoos all day.
100%. Yeah. And something for you and I to think about, maybe to be more relatable to the younger folks that listen to and watch this show. Maybe we get DeerCast neck tattoos.
Actually, Scott wants to get a DeerCast tattoo. He has since he started here.
It's been years in the making.
I've been saying, no, don't do it. Alan's shaking his head, and this is a guy with a lot of tattoos. But maybe this is the year we just say, screw it. Let's let Scott destroy his body for a job.
We go film it.
Oh, yeah.
Turn it into something.
Definitely film it. Mm-hmm. But, look at us. We're both wearing polos. We couldn't be more...
we got our comfy shoes on.
Yeah. I mean,
no. Yeah, we would. The neck tattoo would wear us, not the other way around.
I got a tattoo, but I just couldn't do the neck tattoo. It wouldn't.
Was it the Grateful Dead bear?
Yes.
Yeah. Nice job.
On my butt cheek.
I thought the only tattoo I would ever get is if I did an Ironman triathlon, I would get the Ironman M on my calf. That's the only tattoo.
You would brand yourself forever as a superior athlete to your peers.
I would try. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, when you don't have a whole lot of successes in your life, you have to accentuate the ones that you have. Like I'm wearing a medal right now.
He's been wearing this thing all week. He wore it on the ride home.
I wore it to the steakhouse after the run, and
it's like a little kid
looking at me.
Field day. They got a ribbon in. Like I'm wearing this ribbon for the rest of the year.
Pretend fireman's helmet. He must be a real fireman.
Yeah. Hey man, own it. You earned it. You might as well own it.
Why not?
I do want to say, as I mentioned, that there was this awesome outdoorsman that was going to join the podcast. It is not Cam Haynes. I should throw that out there. He's on a current press tour that I tried to get in on. We're not good enough for that tour.
Crap.
Now, if I see him on Working Class, I'm going to be pissed.
Someone's got some splaining to do.
Yeah. No, but I did try. I shot my shot.
Someday.
I got a heart. It was a heart reply. When it was a DM, it was just a heart. Like I'm not replying to this, but hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
I'm acknowledging it. But he's on with like Jocko and the Meat Eater guys, which rank at like the top 5 outdoor podcasts, which I don't know. I think they're like paying somebody. Like I get the couple podcasts, but how are every Meat Eater podcast in the top 5?
I don't know. Maybe they're using like controlled substances to boost their performance.
Gamma rays.
That's what we need.
I'd like to know who's shooting gamma rays and brainwashing these people.
Listen, I got because my knee was bugging me from the race. I got one of those electro units and I was like, this is how I die. I'm going to shock myself.
Well, you weren't in a bathtub, were you?
No, but I was thinking about taking a shower, but I didn't. But yeah, I'll take anything that'll enhance my performance, whatever.
Oh.
I don't mind.
It's an indictment on steroids.
Yeah, why not? It's 2022. How about our newest Rack Pack members?
How about these fellas? Maybe a girl. I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
Could be.
All right, we got the Rack Pack. I say it every week. All you got to do, go over to Facebook, private group, type in 100% Wild Rack Pack or Drury Outdoors Rack Pack. It'll come up. And every week, Tim types them out. Every week, I read them. Every week, I butcher somebody's name. And every week, there's somebody that's fake in here. So let's see which we
Fakers.
got. Justin, oh, man, right out of the gate. I think you purposely do this to me. Thavadales? How would you say that guy's last name?
The Vitals?
The Vitals. God damn it. That was the one.
Rat farts.
All right, Justin the Vitals. Brad Dykstra. I wonder if him and Lenny get down with it. One of the best baseball players ever.
Get down with it.
Yeah, well, like brothers out there causing trouble. Lenny Dykstra was a real...
Jive talking to each other.
Lenny Dykstra was a real
Give me some skin
troublemaker.
in, brother.
Famous on the Mets team.
Yes.
Famous for being quite the partier.
Get down with it.
Yeah. Aaron Ogler. Hey, I know this guy.
Okay.
All right, just moving on. James Kuhn, JT White, Craig Strayer, Zach Figert, Adam Oswald.
Or Oswald.
It starts with an O.
Who knows where the emphasis
It's
goes?
funny that I have such a hard time with this because, like, when I'm like teaching Lola how to read right now, and I'm like, sound it out.
Poor Lola. God help her. I screenshotted one of our Rack Pack members. You know, they have to answer. I don't know if I screenshot this or not. They have to answer the membership questions to get into the group.
Yeah.
And they said something like their favorite part of the show is here it is. This
When it
is. He said laughing at Matt. That wasn't nice.
That's okay. I'm fine with it. If we can gain more listeners and viewers because I'm fun on the podcast.
Whatever
I'm
it
all
takes.
for it.
Taking one for the team.
That's right.
Yep. Yep.
It's not going to be for knowledge of the outdoors. So might as well be for something.
You got to have your lane. You got to know what you're good at.
I'm staying in it.
And yeah.
Okay.
That.
I hope JW doesn't listen back to this.
Why did I do that show?
Yeah.
Okay, so episode number 266 is going to be a big one with Craig Morgan.
That's right.
Make sure you tune in for that. Episode 267 is going to be awesome. I think it's Pat Sajak, but I could be wrong.
You are wrong. Okay.
All right, let's shut it down.
Till next time. Peace out. Boop, 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 boop.
Oh.
Usher.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The results are in.
DeerCast said great. It doesn't exist anywhere else but in DeerCast.
Hunters love DeerCast's exclusive deer movement forecast. Get ahead of your game with DeerCast.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DoD TV was brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.